Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Kara, and today's video I'm going to be talking about real estate investing. So since this is my very first video on real estate investing, I'm going to keep it pretty basic for you guys, as you probably could have guessed by the title. So let's jump right into it. So real estate investing has become quite a hot topic over the past few years, and it's for pretty good reason. Investing in real estate can really be a great way to build your wealth, both in a passive way or active way, whatever you prefer. So when you think about real estate investing, you should think about two different categories, those being buy and hold properties and also flip properties. So I'm going to go into a little bit of detail on each of those now. So buy and hold properties are pretty much exactly what they sound like. They're properties that you buy and hold on to for a little while, whereas flips are properties that you buy, fix up, and then sell usually a few months later, maybe sometimes a year if there are a lot of extensive renovations that need to be done. But let's first dive into buy and hold properties. So a classic form of this would be long-term rentals. So some of you guys watching this video might currently be renting, maybe you're in an apartment complex, or maybe you're in a private landlord situation like a single family home or something like that. And that single family home for that landlord would be considered a buy and hold long-term rental. The typical ways to rent this type of property out are annual leases and also month to month. I know nowadays that a lot of landlords tend to start out with annual leases and then move them into month to month if that's something that the renter prefers. I tend to think of long-term rentals as more of a passive form of income, and you can make them even more passive by hiring a property management company. So these types of companies usually charge anywhere from 8 to 12% of the rent that you're charging your tenant. So it is definitely something to consider when you're looking at your ROI, and maybe you might have to pay a little bit less for a property, which in a competitive situation might not make the most sense. It might be a little bit tougher, but it is still definitely something to consider because it can save you so much time. And what a property management company might do for you would be, find potential renters out there, collect rent, and also keep up with the property. So handle any sort of maintenance issues or maintenance requests that come in from the tenant. Another type of buy and hold property would be a short-term rental. So one of the most popular examples of this would be Airbnb. Now, properties like this are definitely going to be more time intensive for you, unless maybe you have a cleaning company that's coming in after each guest, but there is still going to be some more legwork on your end in terms of communicating with the person staying in your property as they arrive, as they leave, and answering any questions for them. So Airbnbs are my favorite type of property because you can make so much more money with this short-term rental compared to a longer-term rental. And there's usually less wear and tear on your property. So when you think about a longer-term tenant, you'll likely have to replace the carpet, maybe repaint after they leave. Whereas when you have people coming in for maybe a weekend or a week for a vacation stay, they're not really going to be bringing in furniture or anything like that. They'll just bring in a suitcase and a bag or two, and it won't really be much wear and tear on your property. So to compare those two, as I mentioned earlier, long-term rentals are going to be more passive and short-term rentals will require a little bit more work on your end. To go along with this as well, you're going to want to think about whether you want a single family home or a multi-unit property. And basically what a multi-unit property is, you probably already know this, but just in case, it's anything larger than a single family home. So it could be something like a duplex, or it could be something like a 6-unit apartment building. Now, if you are new to real estate investing, I would say definitely start out with 1, but no more than 2 units. And that is because it's just a lot to manage and it's a lot to take care of. Even if you do have a property management company, there's still a lot of moving parts, and if you're not really familiar with the process, it might get really overwhelming and really confusing for you. So if this is your first property that you're looking into, definitely just stick with 1 unit or maximum 2. Okay, I would say that we have pretty much covered the buy and hold properties up to this point. So let's talk a little bit about flips. Something I want to mention here for any new investors out there is that if all you're planning to do to a property is maybe slapping down some new flooring, adding some paint, changing out doorknobs or something like that, you're not going to make a great ROI on that. I know that it might seem like, well, I went ahead and upgraded the property, I made improvements, it looks better than it did when I bought it. But something that you might be forgetting is that when you buy and sell properties, there's a lot of closing costs that are included with that. And you also have to consider what you've put into the property. So when you think about it, paint in the grand scheme of things isn't all that expensive. So you're not really going to get a great return from that. Now, on the other hand, if you look at a property that needs a larger overhaul, let's say the kitchen needs to be renovated, the bathrooms need to be renovated, maybe it's outdated since the 80s or 90s, and you want to do basically something to every room in the house, redo the landscaping outside. Basically, you have a list of things that you want to do to renovate the property. You're going to get a much better ROI from something like that. Another thing to consider is that you really want to be well connected and have a few different trustworthy contractors that can help you renovate this property. Now, if you already are a licensed contractor, then that's awesome, and you will already have an idea of estimated renovation costs. And if you're a new investor, I would definitely say before you jump into a project, especially a big flip, speak to different contractors, get an idea of what projects are considered larger and what are considered smaller, and also the time frame of when certain projects can be completed. I would say before you even go out and look at any properties, go out and make some of those connections first, because it will save you so much time in the long run. Okay, now let's talk a little bit about financing an investment property. So if you think about it from a mortgage lender's perspective, if you have a primary residence and you're paying off that mortgage and you want to get an investment property, that's going to be another payment that you're going to have to pay. So it's going to be another debt in your name. And because of this, they tend to require a larger down payment. So whereas for your primary residence, you may only need, 3.5% down, for an investment property, you usually need at least 20% down. So just keep that in mind when you are looking at your cash that you have available for an investment property. Make sure that you have at least 20% down. And also, that is just for your down payment. So that doesn't consider closing costs or anything like that. So just keep that in the back of your head. So there are a variety of different loan products that might be good for you if you are considering purchasing an investment property. One of those being a rehab loan, and there are a variety of products out there, and I'm not going to go into too much detail on each of them or the pros and cons, because that would basically be its own video topic. But I will say, if you are considering a rehab loan, do know that most lenders require that you use a contractor from their approved contractor list. These can definitely be great loan products if you don't necessarily have the cash on hand to make renovations. Another option to consider is a hard money loan or a loan from a private money lender. This is really an excellent option for investors, and I say that because a lot of times investors are paying in cash, especially the more experienced ones or seasoned ones. And if you are getting a loan through a private money lender, your offer on a property is actually considered cash. So even though you are getting a private money loan, since it's not a traditional mortgage lender, you can write up the offer as if it's cash. And that is crucial to know when you're starting out. Now, there are some cons to a hard money loan, those being that the interest rates do tend to be quite a bit higher, and the repayment terms are shorter than a classic mortgage. But the benefit there is if you're flipping a property, it doesn't really matter all that much because you're not planning to hold it for 15 or 30 years, the length of a typical mortgage. So if you are planning to buy this property, fix it up, and sell it within a year, then this could be a really, really good option for you. It's also something to consider if you don't qualify for the traditional type of mortgage. So a lot of private money lenders tend to be more lenient, and so they might lend you a loan, whereas a traditional mortgage company may not. Alright, I have a feeling that this video is getting pretty long, so I'm going to wrap it up here with some final thoughts. So if you are a first-time investor, I would definitely say start small and grow from there. I know it might be exciting to get into a huge flip or maybe buy a multi-unit property or multiple Airbnbs at once, but just start small and kind of just get your feet wet a little bit and see how you like it. See if it's something that you want to continue doing. You don't really want to bite off more than you can chew with your first investment. So just start out with one, see how it goes, and then go from there. So another piece of advice I have for first-time investors is if you have never purchased an investment property and really have no experience in it, try partnering up with someone who has multiple investment properties under their belt. So maybe you could go in 50-50 on a property, share the profits, and just see how that goes. See if it's something that you like, and you can shadow them and learn from them and learn the process. And they could really teach you, what certain repairs are going to cost, how long certain ones are going to take, what types of investments you really should avoid, and what ones you should definitely jump on. So one last point I wanted to mention is that you really should have some sort of spreadsheet or document where you can plug and play different numbers to figure out what kind of ROI you want for your investment property. Now, something that I haven't actually mentioned yet in this video is what's even considered a good ROI. And this will definitely vary based on opinion. It will vary based on the market conditions at the moment, what part of the country you're living in. But I will give you a little bit of a range just so you have some idea. And I would say that maybe years and years ago, people were kind of aiming for a 10% ROI. And nowadays, you're kind of lucky if you're gonna get like a 6 to 7% ROI. Now, you definitely can find really good deals out there, but with it being a seller's market, it definitely makes it a little bit tougher to find kind of the diamond in the rough. So I want to end this video by offering you guys my free investor template. It's basically an Excel spreadsheet that allows you to enter various parameters like the purchase price, taxes, the rent that you're going to be charging, any sort of renovations, water costs, trash, property management, basically all the sorts of profits, but also fees that you would have to put into this property, and it will give you an ROI so that you can basically decide whether or not a property that you're looking at would be a good investment or maybe not so great of an investment. This spreadsheet is especially great for first-time investors so that you know each piece that you should be considering when you purchase an investment property. So if you would like a copy of that spreadsheet, I'll leave my contact info in the description box below, as well as at the end of this video. And if you like this video, please go ahead and hit the like button, leave me a comment. I know that there's probably a lot that I left out here, but I'm more than happy to do a part 2 if you like this video. So if you would like to see that, leave me a comment below, let me know. If you're not subscribed, I am very, very close to hitting 100 subscribers. I would love it if you subscribed as well. Share this with your friends and family, and I will see you guys very soon in the next one.